I'm Diane from Etu Pilates, and today I want to go through a few more exercises that are suitable for doing in the postnatal world after you've had your baby. If you've got a cushion handy today, you might want to grab that. It'll be good for a couple of exercises later on. First of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the abdominal activation that's appropriate in postnatal exercises. So what do we mean by abdominal activation and how does it all work? We use the abdominal activation as part of our breath cycle. So when we're thinking about breathing, we're breathing in through our nose and breathing out through our mouth. As we're breathing in, our ribs are expanding and our diaphragm drops away underneath our lungs. As we exhale, our ribs come back into place and our diaphragm lifts up under our rib cage again. When that diaphragm's lifting up under our rib cage, it's drawing our pelvic floor up at the same time. So when we're working our abdominals in postnatal exercises, we're thinking about tagging on to that natural lift that we get on an exhale. So we take a breath in. As we exhale, we think about drawing our abdominal area up underneath our rib cage. Inhale to relax. Let the ribs expand. Exhale. Draw the abdominal area up under the ribs. Once more. Inhale, relax. Exhale, drawing our abdominal area up underneath our lungs. Now coming down onto our back, we're going to start our exercises. We're going to be working with our knees bent to start off with, our feet flat on the floor. Shoulders are nice and broad and relaxed. We're starting today with our pelvic tilts. So taking a breath in, as you exhale, roll the pelvis back towards the tummy and push your spine into the mat. As you inhale, roll the pelvis forward, let that back arch. Exhale, rolling back. Inhale, rolling forward, arching the spine. Keep working in this way, using your breath. There's no rush. Just take this as far as is comfortable for your body today. It should be a good feeling, should be a nice exercise for your lower back. And we're starting to think about that exhale. As we roll the pelvis back, pushing into the mat, we're drawing up the abdominal area. Inhale to relax. Allow the back to arch as the pelvis rolls forward. Exhale, draw the abdominal area up as we push our spine into the mat. Inhale, relax, roll the pelvis forward. Couple more like this. There's no rush. Just allow the breath to set the pace of this movement. It should be a smooth movement for your lower back today. And one more exhale, pushing the spine into the mat, and then come into our neutral spine. From here, we're taking it into our dead bugs. With our dead bugs, we exhale to float one leg to tabletop. Then we inhale to lower it down. Exhale, using that abdominal lift, one leg floats to tabletop. Inhale, floating it back down. Swapping from side to side, just in your own time. Again, using your breath, bringing one leg at a time up to tabletop. Our lower back should feel very comfortable. It's in our neutral spine position. And it's not moving. We're not getting any arching in our back. We're not getting any movement there at all. It's feeling beautifully relaxed. And lower. Next leg comes up to tabletop. We hold it there. We're going to inhale and extend it out on a 45-degree angle. Exhale, bring the leg back to tabletop and float the foot back down. Swapping to the other side. Come to tabletop. Reach the leg out, bring it back in, and float the foot down. Now, if it's a bit challenging for you to reach the leg on a 45-degree angle, you can simply straighten the leg. Toes reach up to the ceiling. Then bend the knee back to tabletop, float the leg down to the mat. Swap to the other side, extend the leg, whichever works for you today, back to tabletop, and float down. Let's do a couple more on each side. Reaching those toes along so you get a lovely stretch, the top of the thigh and around the hip joint. Swapping to the other side, reach long, back to tabletop and down. Shoulders are staying nice and relaxed. We're not getting any tension developing around our shoulders and neck. And this is our last one. Up to tabletop, reach long, back to tabletop and float back down. Okay, while we're in this position, we'll take our legs into a lovely rotational stretch. I'm going to allow my left leg to go long on the mat and bring my right leg to tabletop. My right hand goes to the outside of, my left hand goes to the outside of my right knee, and I'm going to draw that knee across my body. So I'm getting a nice rotation around my waist through the back of the hip. My neck is feeling okay. If your neck's feeling okay, you can look across the opposite shoulder and also get that rotation in the neck joint. We're taking a couple of breaths in here. If you can draw that knee closer to the mat when you exhale, then do that. Otherwise, we're holding it in the position. On the next exhale, we're bringing that knee back to tabletop and the foot goes down on the mat. We're swapping legs. Other leg comes up to tabletop. The first leg goes long on the mat. Opposite hand to the outside of that knee, drawing that knee across the body. I'm looking over the opposite shoulder. I'm just taking it as far as is comfortable and exhale. Nice deep breath in. See if you can draw that knee a bit closer to the mat. And on the next exhale, we're bringing that knee back to tabletop. Foot comes down on the mat. We're bringing the other knee in to join it. So both knees are bent, feet flat on the mat. From here, we're going to start some arm arcs. So first of all, inhale to float your arms straight up to the ceiling. Allow your shoulders to drop back onto the mat. From here, we're going to take the arms wide on the mat, like a capital T. Exhale, bring them back to center. Inhale to reach them overhead. Exhale, bring them back up to the ceiling. This time back out to the side. Exhale, back to the ceiling. Inhale as they go overhead. We're swapping between those two movements. Just allow the arms to move at their own pace and as far as you're comfortable to let them move. They might not go all the way down to the mat, and that's fine. Using the exhale to bring them back to center, so we've got that core engagement. We're thinking about that abdominal lift as the arms come back up. Let's do one more overhead, like this. Bring the arms back up to center. This time we're going to combine those two movements. I'm going to take the arms out to the side first. Then I'm going to circle them around overhead, floating them back up to the ceiling. Out to the side, circling them round overhead and floating up to the ceiling. We've got one more like this. Overhead and float to the ceiling. Let's reverse. Let's take the arms overhead first, circle them out to the side and then bring them up to the ceiling. Two more. Overhead. Circling the arms nice and wide and floating them up to the ceiling. Last one. Overhead first. Circle out to the side and float up to the ceiling. Let the shoulders drop back once more. We float the arms back down onto the mat. This time we're going to be combining some arm movement with our dead bugs. So I'm going to float my left leg up to tabletop again. I'm going to place my left hand on my left knee. We're taking it into our single leg stretch. I'm going to inhale to reach both my hand and my foot long. Exhale to bring it back to center. Inhale to reach. Exhale back. Just keep going in your own time. Inhale to reach. Exhale using that abdominal lift. If it's a bit challenging for you to reach that leg away on a 45, once again you can extend the foot straight up to the ceiling. And inhale, Exhale, bringing it back. Let's do 2 more. Reach and return. Last one. Reach and return. Pause here and float both down to the mat. Let's swap to the other side. Right leg comes up, right hand is on the right knee. Inhale, reaching long. Exhale, drawing it back. So we're thinking about that exhale. We're thinking about using that abdominal lift to engage our core muscles and help that thigh bring the leg back to tabletop. Remember, you can extend the leg to the ceiling if that's a better movement for you today. Either one, we're using that exhale to draw our abdominal muscles and our abdominal organs up underneath our ribs. Let's do 2 more. Long stretch. Exhale back. 1 more long stretch. Exhale back and float everything back down onto the mat. Let's just enjoy a nice full body stretch before we roll onto our sides. Letting our legs go out nice and long, floating our arms up overhead. Our fingers are reaching long, pushing that cushion out of the way. Our toes are reaching long away from our legs. Our fingers are reaching long away from our shoulders. Our tummy muscles are relaxed. And we're taking some lovely deep breaths in, exhaling all the air out through our mouth. And 1 more. Inhale, reaching long. Exhale, blowing all that air out. Okay, turning onto our sides. Grab that pesky cushion and bring it close so that you can support your head and neck on the cushion. Knees are bent. We're coming down onto our side and getting ourselves nice and comfortable. Making sure we're set up. We've got that, our hips are stacked. We take the top hand onto the top hip, push that top hip away to create lift underneath our waist. Now, bottom hand, you might prefer it out in front of you or tucked under the cushion. We're going to start with some shoulder protraction and retraction. So the top hand is coming onto the floor in front of us. Keeping everything else still, we're going to take a breath in and push that hand forward away from us on the mat. Exhale, drawing it back. Inhale, reaching forward. Exhale, drawing it back. I'm not allowing my body to roll. This is just a shoulder movement. 1 more like this. Inhale, reaching forward. Exhale, drawing it back. This time I'm inhaling to float that hand up to the ceiling. Exhale, float it back down to the mat. As I float that hand to the ceiling, I'm turning my gaze to follow the hand and floating it back down. Adding some rotation, I'm inhaling to the ceiling, exhaling, allowing that arm to reach out behind me. Take a breath in there, keep those knees squeezed together. Exhale to arc that hand all the way back to the front. Inhale to the ceiling. Exhale, allow the hand to rotate behind you. Take a big breath in. Exhale as that hand arcs all the way back to the front. We've got 1 more here. Inhale to the ceiling. Exhale, rotate back. See if that hand will go a bit further as you take a breath in. Exhale, that hand arcs all the way back to the front. Keeping that hand down on the mat in front of you for support, we're going to move into our clam exercises. When we're doing our clams, we imagine that we've glued our socks together, so our feet can't come apart, at least not at the start. As we inhale, we float the top knee up, ankles stay together, or feet stay together. Exhale, floating it down. Inhale, knee floats up. Exhale, it comes down. This exercise is opening up that top hip. It's also working our glute muscles a little bit. Just take it as far as is comfortable for you. If you're enjoying it and would like a little bit more challenge, on the next one, when you float that knee, holding it there, float the foot up to the same height as the knee. And float the foot down and float the knee down. So inhale, float the knee up, lift the foot, foot goes down, knee goes down. On this next one, even if you haven't been lifting your foot, I'll get you to lift the knee first, lift the foot second. From here, we're going to draw that knee in towards the chest, might have to move that top hand, and then flexing the foot, we're pushing that leg long, reaching that heel away from our hip. Bring that knee back into the chest, as close as you can, and then reach that heel away. Let's do that a few more times. We're trying to keep the thigh level with the hip and not letting the foot come up. We're trying to keep it all in the same plane. And 2 more. Knee to chest. Exhale, push that foot away. Really reach it long. 1 more. Knee comes into chest and reach. Now we're bending that knee and lowering it down on top of the bottom one. We're going to flip over to the other side and work the other leg. So rearranging our cushion on the other side. Again, our knees are bent. We're coming down onto our cushion. We tuck that bottom hand out of the way, just checking our hips are stacked. Top hand on the top hip to push that hip away. And from here, we take that top hand out in front of us on the mat. First of all, inhaling to slide that hand forward, exhaling to draw it back. Inhale, push the shoulder forward. Exhale, we're drawing it back. 1 more. Inhale, push forward and back. Now let's inhale to the ceiling and exhale, arm floats back down to the floor. Inhale to the ceiling, following the hand with our gaze. Hand comes back down onto the floor. This time we'll add the rotation. So inhale to the ceiling, exhale as that hand goes behind. Take a breath in, keep the knees squeezed together as you arc the hand back to the front. Inhale to the ceiling, exhale to rotate back. Take a breath in, exhale, arc that hand all the way back to the front. 1 more like this. Inhale to the ceiling, exhale, keep those knees squeezed together. Exhale, bringing that hand all the way back. Keeping that hand down in front of us for support, or you can have it up on the top hip, whatever's most comfortable. We're going to take it into the clams on this side. So remember, our feet are glued together. It's an inhale to lift the top knee, exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Allow that hip to open up and stretch. You might find one side feels a little bit different. So see how it works for you. You may not be able to lift that knee as high as the other side. This time, if you want the added challenge of lifting the foot, add that in. Foot comes down, knee comes down. Knee lifts, foot lifts. Foot comes down, knee comes down. 1 more like this. Foot down, knee down. This time, everyone's going to lift their knee up and their foot. That knee's coming in towards the chest. Flex the foot and push that leg out long. Foot's reaching away. Inhale, drawing it into the chest and reaching long. Back into the chest. A nice smooth movement in the hip, getting a good stretch of the glute muscles when we're pulling that knee into the chest, and a nice stretch of the hip, thigh muscles as we extend the leg away. We've got 2 more. Knee to chest and reach. Last one. Knee to chest, reach that leg long, then bring it back on top of the bottom leg. Okay, we're coming up to kneeling. Getting that pesky cushion out of the way. We're going to do a combination extension and child pose movement. We're going to start off in child pose. So with our child's pose, there's quite a few options, and you can choose the one that works best for you, that you're most comfortable in. You can have your knees together. You can take your knees apart. You can have your arms out in front of you, or if that's not comfortable for your shoulders, you can have them down beside you, or even just maybe tucked in here. So find the child's pose that's going to work best for you and come down into that position. Sometimes I find I have to wriggle from side to side to get everything organized so that I can get as low down as I can on my hips, as low down as possible towards my heels. And we're going to hold it here for a couple of breaths. Pushing, you can use those hands to push your hips back onto your heels. Now, from here, to take it into extension, as you inhale, you roll your chin up and allow the front of the chest to lift. The chest is shining forward. Our gaze has come up. We've got a lovely extension in our thoracic spine behind our ribs. Then we scoop our belly a little bit and come back down into child's pose. You can bring your hands a bit closer. You might find that's more comfortable and it will allow you to come up a bit higher off your knees. So you decide, just try out a few positions for your hands and then decide what's the best spot for you to work in today. And lowering back down. As you come back down, tuck your head under and push your hips back towards your heels for a beautiful counter stretch. Inhale, let the nose, let the chin roll up, back arches a little bit, and rolling back down, tucking the head under, pushing the hips back onto the heels. Let's do 2 more. Getting a lovely extension. If you're coming right up on your hands, you might be getting an extension in your lower back as well as behind your ribs. Head tucks right under, we push the hips back down onto our heels. And 1 more. Inhaling as you come up, really pushing that chest forward. Exhale, coming back down, tucking the head under. And if you choose, you can stay in this child's pose for a couple of breaths, allowing the lower back, that sacrum, to stretch. And just enjoy a couple of quiet minutes of relaxation.